YN's POV. The next few days were a nightmare. Anna's attention was relentless. Each comment and pointed remark laced with barely concealed disdain. It started with small things, dismissive glances, interrupting YN during meetings, and passive-aggressive comments about YN's lack of professionalism. But it quickly escalated. Anna, smirking, you should be careful. YN people might start to think you're trying to get too close to the CEO. It's not a good look for someone in your position. YN bit her tongue, refusing to rise to the bait. She needed this job and she couldn't afford to let Anna provoke her. But every day, the tension grew worse, and YN felt her composure slipping. She was running on empty, barely able to keep up with the mounting workload and her mother's care. It all came to a head one evening when YN stayed late to finalize some reports. She had just finished printing the last document when Anna appeared in the doorway, her arms crossed and an unkind smile on her lips. Anna, coldly, you should learn to stay in your lane, YN. Whatever you think is going on between you and Jungkook, it's not. He's out of your league. The words hit YN like a slap. She clenched her fists, fighting back tears, but she refused to let Anna see how much her words stung. YN, quietly, but with strength. I'm just doing my job, Anna. I have no interest in anything else. Anna's eyes narrowed, but before she could say anything else, Jungkook's voice rang out from behind her. Jungkook. Anna, that's enough. Jungkook's POV. I had walked in just in time to hear Anna's cutting words, and a cold fury settled in my chest. I didn't know what Anna's problem was, but I wasn't going to stand by and let her treat YN like this. YN looked like she was about to break, her face pale and her eyes shining with unshed tears. But she held her ground. Anna turned to face me, her expression shifting to surprise, then defensiveness. Anna, I was just... Jungkook, sharp. I don't want to hear it. YN is a valued member of this team, and I won't tolerate anyone making her feel otherwise. If you have a problem, you bring it to me, not her. Anna's face flushed with embarrassment, and she sputtered for a moment, clearly not expecting me to side with YN. Without another word, she turned on her heel and stormed out of the office, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. YN looked at me, her eyes wide with a mix of surprise and relief, but I could also see the exhaustion etched into her features. For a moment, we just stood there, the silence stretching between us, heavy with unspoken words. Jungkook, softly. YN, if something is going on, you can tell me. I want to help. She shook her head, her expression guarded. YN. Thank you, Mr. Chun, but it's nothing I can't handle. I wanted to push, to tell her that she didn't have to handle everything on her own. But I saw the stubborn set of her jaw and knew she wouldn't accept my help. So I nodded, even though every instinct screamed at me to do more. I watched her leave, feeling more conflicted than ever. Author's POV. As YN walked out of the office, she felt her chest tighten with a confusing mix of emotions. Jungkook had defended her again, and it felt like her carefully built walls were starting to crack. But she couldn't let herself get distracted. Not now, when she was barely holding everything together. Yet, despite her resolve, she couldn't stop the warmth that spread through her at the thought of Jungkook standing up for her. And Jungkook, watching her leave, felt a surge of protectiveness that he still refused to name. Anna's presence was a shadow over the office, a reminder that things were only going to get more complicated. But YN and Jungkook both knew that something between them had shifted, even if neither of them was ready to admit it, especially not with Anna watching, waiting for any chance to make YN's life more difficult. Author's POV. Jungkook had been struggling to contain his emotions for weeks now. Every time he saw YN, He felt the overwhelming urge to be closer, to protect her, to know everything that made her smile and everything that made her sad. He found himself watching her every move, noticing every subtle change in her expression, every tired sigh, and every rare smile that lit up her eyes. He didn't know when he had crossed the line from curiosity to something deeper, but he was well past the point of return. The tension between them had been building for too long, and Jungkook couldn't hold back anymore. He needed to tell her how he felt. Consequences be damned. It was late evening when he found YN on the rooftop of the office, taking a moment to herself after another long, exhausting day. The city lights glittered below them, casting a soft glow around her tired face. Jungkook's heart was racing, and he could barely keep his hands from trembling. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what he was about to do. "Jungkook, gently. YN, I need to talk to you." She looked up, startled, and for a second, Jungkook thought he saw a flicker of something in her eyes, something soft and uncertain. But it was gone as quickly as it appeared, replaced by her usual composed expression. "YN. What is it, Mr. Chen?" Jungkook flinched at the formal address, the distance she always tried to maintain between them. But he wasn't going to back down now. He took a step closer, his eyes locking onto hers. "Jungkook. YN. I can't keep pretending anymore. I like you. No, I think I'm in love with you. I've tried to fight it, but I can't. You're all I think about, and I can't stand to see you struggle on your own." Wayne's eyes widened in shock, her face going pale. She opened her mouth to respond, but Jungkook cut her off, his voice desperate. "Jungkook, I know this might be sudden, and I don't want to make things difficult for you. But I needed to tell you. I needed you to know how I feel." For a moment, there was only the sound of the city below them, the rush of the wind, and the pounding of Jungkook's heart. He watched her, hoping, praying, for any sign that she felt the same. But what he saw was a carefully constructed mask of professionalism. Ween's voice was quiet, almost detached as she spoke. "YN. Mr. Chen, I appreciate your honesty, but I don't have those kinds of feelings for you. I'm here to work, nothing more. Please don't make this complicated." It felt like a physical blow. Jungkook's chest tightened, and he had to force himself to breathe. He saw the cold determination in her eyes, the resolve not to let him in. The words he had hoped to hear died on his lips, replaced by a hollow silence. Jungkook, voice breaking. "YN. Are you sure? I can see?" "YN family. I'm sure. I'm only here to work, Mr. Chen. Please respect that." She turned and walked away, leaving Jungkook standing alone under the cold, indifferent stars. He watched her retreating back, feeling something inside him shatter, knowing that she had drawn a line he couldn't cross. Meanwhile, Anna had witnessed the entire exchange from the shadows, hiding just out of sight. She had seen the vulnerability in Jungkook's expression, the way he had looked at YN with a desperation that made Anna's blood boil. She had been humiliated when Jungkook defended YN, but this was a perfect opportunity for revenge. If YN was the obstacle between her and Jungkook, Anna was determined to remove it, no matter what it took. Days passed, but Jungkook didn't return to the office. He shut himself away, drowning in his heartbreak. The pain of YN's rejection was a relentless, gnawing ache in his chest that refused to go away. He threw himself into the gym, spending hours pummeling the punching bag until his knuckles bled, as if somehow he could beat the pain out of himself. When he wasn't at the gym, he was at home, drinking late into the night, the silence of his apartment echoing with the memories of every moment he'd spent with YN, the stolen glances, The teasing smiles, the brief touches that had meant the world to him. It was agony, and he didn't know how to make it stop. Taehyung and Haemin, Jungkook's closest friends, had noticed his absence almost immediately. They found him one evening at the gym, drenched in sweat, his knuckles split open and bleeding from another round with the punching bag. His eyes were hollow, his face pale, and there was a wild, desperate look in his gaze that they had never seen before. Taehyung. Jungkook, what happened? Jungkook barely looked at them, his chest heaving with exertion. Jungkook, it's nothing. Just leave me alone. But Haemin wouldn't let it go. He stepped forward, his voice gentle but firm. Haemin. No, Jungkook, we're not leaving. What's going on with you? You haven't been to the office in days. Talk to us. Jungkook tried to push them away, but the weight of his grief was too much. He collapsed to his knees, burying his face in his hands, the tears finally spilling over. Jungkook sobbing. She doesn't want me. YN. She doesn't feel anything for me. I thought there was something, but I was wrong. Taehyung and Haemin exchanged a glance, both of them shocked by the raw pain in Jungkook's voice. They had never seen him like this, broken, vulnerable, and utterly defeated. Taehyung knelt beside him, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. Taehyung. Listen, Jungkook. If she can't see what an incredible person you are, then she's the one missing out. But maybe you need to show her. Show her who you really are. Don't let this destroy you. If she rejected you because she thinks you're just a cold CEO, then show her the real you. Show her what she lost. Jungkook lifted his tear-streaked face, something like hope flickering in his eyes, though it was dim and uncertain. He didn't know if he had the strength to try again, but his friend's words planted a seed, a stubborn, desperate desire to prove YN wrong, to make her see that he was more than just a title or a job. Haemin nodded in agreement, his expression encouraging. Haemin. You don't have to give up, Jungkook. We're here for you. And if YN doesn't realize how special you are, then maybe she needs to see what she's really turning away from. Author's POV. Jungkook's heartbreak was a storm that refused to pass. But with Taehyung and Haemin's support, he found a new resolve forming in the wreckage of his shattered feelings. He wasn't ready to give up, not yet. If YN was determined to see only the professional side of him, then maybe it was time to show her the man behind the CEO. No masks, no barriers, just Jungkook. But as he gathered his courage, Jungkook had no idea that Anna was already setting her own plans into motion, determined to make YN's life a living hell. For her, YN's rejection of Jungkook was an opportunity, an opening to manipulate the situation and drive a wedge between them that could never be repaired. Jungkook's POV. It's hard to breathe when you feel like your heart is being ripped out of your chest. I didn't know it would hurt this much. I didn't know her rejection would cut deeper than anything I've ever experienced. Standing there on the rooftop, watching her walk away without a second glance, I wanted to scream. I wanted to beg her to stop, to explain why I felt the way I did, but I couldn't. My pride kept me quiet, and now all that remains is the emptiness of being ignored. I've never been one to give up. When I want something, I go after it. But with YN, it's different. I don't understand her. One minute, she's looking at me like there's something there. And the next, she's shutting me out. What did I do wrong? I never thought I'd have to fight for someone's affection like this. Especially when it felt so real. The worst part, I don't know how to stop thinking about her. My mind won't let me. I'm consumed by thoughts of her laugh. The way she looks at me when she thinks no one's watching. I know she's pushing me away, but it doesn't stop the longing, the ache. I want to make her see me, the real me, not just the CEO. But she's made it clear that she doesn't want me, and it drives me crazy. It's like a constant battle. My heart tells me to fight for her, to show her who I really am. But my mind tells me to give up and move on. The rejection is like a weight around my chest, and I can't breathe without it choking me. I've been away from the office for nearly a week. I've been drinking too much, hitting the punching bag at the gym until my fists bleed, and all I can think about is her. Why can't I just forget? Why is she still stuck in my head? I'm breaking, and I don't know how to fix myself. Maybe Taeyoung's right. Maybe I do need to show her what she's lost.